All right, let's dive in. We're going to crack open this really cool study that gets right to the heart of what the Sri Lankan IT industry is actually looking for. And listen, if you're a student, a teacher, or even if you're already in the tech world, you're going to want to hear this. So let's kick things off with a single number that really sets the stage. So get this, 22%. That is the insane growth Sri Lanka's ICT workforce has seen recently. We're talking about a massive tech boom, right? A huge demand for talented people. But, when something grows that fast, it almost always creates a big problem. And this quote from the study, it just nails the issue. A huge skills gap is opening up. Think about it. Technology is moving at light speed, but what's being taught in some universities? Well, it's just not keeping up. So you end up with graduates who aren't quite ready for the job and companies that are just desperate to find the right people.
Okay, so that's the problem. How do you solve it? How do you figure out what skills are really in demand, like right now? Well, the researchers behind this study had a brilliant idea. They thought, why guess? Let's just go straight to the source. And what's the source? The job ads. They decided to analyze exactly what companies are asking for, word for word.
But, that's easier said than done, right? I mean, how do you even begin to categorize thousands of different job requirements? How do you compare something super specific, like experience in Java, with something broad, like strong leadership skills? Well, to tackle this, they use this really powerful framework called KSA. It's a way to systematically sort every single thing a company asks for. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, first up, we have K for knowledge. This is basically the what you know. It's all the stuff you learn in school. Your degree, any official certifications you've got, the theory behind concepts like object-oriented programming. It's the book smarts, the stuff you get from lectures. Then comes S for skills. This is all about what you can do. It's not about theory anymore. It's about practice. Can you actually sit down and write code in Python? Can you spin up a container with Docker? Can you run queries in SQL? This is the hands-on stuff you only get good at by, doing it.
And wrapping it up is A for abilities. This is the how you do it. You've probably heard these called soft skills. We're talking about things like how you communicate, how you tackle a tough problem, or how you work with other people on a team. It's really about who you are and how you approach your work.
So with that KSA framework in mind, how did they actually do the analysis? This is the cool part. They took almost 450 recent IT job ads from Sri Lanka and fed them all into a generative AI. The AI's only job was to read every single requirement in those ads and decide, is this knowledge, a skill, or an ability? And I gotta tell you, this was not just some simple keyword search. No way. This was a super thorough 4-step process. First, they scraped all the raw data from the job sites. Then, they let the AI do the really hard work of classifying everything. After that, they used natural language processing to clean up the data and get it organized. And finally, they ran this really smart analysis to figure out which terms were the most important. I mean, this was a seriously solid approach. Okay, so after all that work, all that high-tech analysis, what was the big reveal? What do they actually find? Which jobs are the most in demand right now in Sri Lanka's IT world? And the results? Wow, they were crystal clear. It wasn't even a contest. Software engineering is, by far, the most in-demand role. It just towers over the next two, which are software quality assurance, or SQA, and project management. So now we know what the top jobs are, but that's just half the story, right? The real question is, what does it actually take to land one of these roles? So let's go deeper. We're going to break down the specific knowledge, skills, and abilities you need for each of these top 3 jobs. Okay, let's start with the big one, the undisputed champ, software engineering. What are companies really looking for when they're hiring a software engineer? And what's so interesting here is how it all fits together. For knowledge, a bachelor's degree is basically the ticket to get in, but things like cloud certifications, that's what gives you a real edge. Then for skills, it's all about being fluent in modern languages, knowing your way around databases, and being comfortable with DevOps tools like Docker. But here's the kicker. Look at the abilities, communication, problem solving, teamwork. They're not just an afterthought. They're just as important. It's really about being the whole package. All right, next up, the guardians of quality, the SQA role. These are the folks who make sure that the software that goes out the door actually, works. It's an absolutely essential job. And you can really see how the focus changes for SQA. Under knowledge, it's less about general degrees and more about specialized certifications, like ISTQB. For skills, it's all about automation. Tools like Selenium and Cypress are huge. And then for abilities, attention to detail is king. You have to have that sharp analytical eye, that almost obsessive drive to find the one tiny bug that everyone else missed.
And finally, let's talk about the people who are basically the captains of the ship, the project managers. They're the ones making sure everything gets done on time and, just as importantly, on budget.
With project managers, you see another big shift, this time towards strategy and leadership. The knowledge part is all about those big management certifications like PMP. The skills are about mastering planning tools like Jira and being able to forecast what's coming. But the abilities? That's where it's at. It's pure leadership, thinking critically, making tough decisions, and just being a master at coordinating everything and everyone. Okay, so we've looked at all this amazing data, broken down all these different roles, but through it all, the researchers found one single powerful insight, a key takeaway that honestly applies to everyone in tech, no matter what your job title is. And this right here, this is the heart of the whole study. It breaks down like this. Your knowledge and your skills, your degree, the coding languages you know, they're what get you an interview for a specific job. They open a particular door. But your abilities, how you communicate, how you collaborate, how you solve problems, those are universal. They're wanted in every role. These are the things that don't just get you a job. They build you a successful, adaptable career that can last. And look, this isn't just some interesting academic idea. This is a practical roadmap. If you're a student, it means those dreaded group projects and presentations, they matter just as much as your coding assignments. If you're an educator, it's a huge signal that you need to build these soft skills right into the curriculum. And if you're an employer, it suggests a really smart strategy. Hire people who are great communicators and problem solvers, because you can always train them on the next new technology. So that leaves us with one last big question to think about. It's kind of funny, right? We just saw how AI was used to analyze all these jobs. So as that same AI technology gets better and starts to automate more and more technical skills, what happens then? Which of these uniquely human abilities will become not just valuable, but maybe priceless? What's going to be the real currency in the job market of the future?